let's go, let's go. As 2023 comes to an end, theme parks are currently installing or building their new attractions for 2024 in preparation for the new season. And for the Six Flags chain, the same applies, as they had lots of surprising announcements this year. While parks like Ferris, Texas and Over Georgia prepare the new attraction, Six Flags Over Texas in Arlington, Texas has zero activity for the 2024 edition, which was Rio Lento, an updated version of their log flume attraction that'll make it the world's longest. And it appears the new attraction might have been scrapped. So with Over Texas not having a new for 2024 edition, it's leaving them in a very similar spot to what happened when Aquaman got delayed for 3 years consecutively. So it truly leaves you wondering, is Over Texas getting a 2024 edition? Especially with some rumored mysterious work going on and plans behind the scenes. But before we get into today's video though, if you're new here, welcome to the channel for all those thrill seekers. On JB Thrills, make all sorts of content related to theme parks and thrill rides, no matter where they're located. And if you're a Texas enthusiast as well, this is your source of news for all Texas theme parks. So if you're interested, be sure to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to know when new videos arrive on my channel. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into today's video. "2023 has definitely been a very interesting year for Six Flags as a whole. You have mega parks under their name being built across the seas that'll host coasters that'll break lots of records, while here in the Americas, the chain isn't doing so hot, leaving them to make a giant decision to collab with Cedar Fair, which is a whole other topic. And then of course you have their last minute new additions that shocked everyone when truly we expected nothing from Six Flags. And for Six Flags Over Texas, the very first Six Flags park, they got the short end of the stick yet again. Their new addition this year was Rio Lento, essentially a refurbishment to El Aserradero, their log flume attraction, which is actually the world's first log flume. The thing is, many of the park guests and longtime visitors of Over Texas got very upset with this addition, considering it's solely a refurbishment and not really a new attraction. Though we still had some hope for the new ride, and maybe, just maybe, we thought they could put in some work to make this attraction amazing, until we got the news that this attraction essentially got scrapped. And for a long story short, the attraction isn't listed on any of the websites, is not advertised anywhere in the park anymore, and seemed to have disappeared. Meaning, yeah, this attraction will probably not exist, leaving Over Texas with a very questionable state going into 2024. But really quick, we have to recap what happened with the park this year. In the very beginning of 2023, Aquaman Power Wave, their new attraction, finally opened to the public after 3 years of consecutive delays. The attraction first was designed without a turntable, and then the pandemic hit. Then when construction continued, they realized, what were we thinking? And actually added a turntable to up the capacity, because it would have been a nightmare. But then somehow it got delayed again, until finally in March they opened the new ride. The ride itself was a pretty great addition, and a worthy replacement of the original Aquaman splashdown, but to many it seemed very unfinished. When the turntable was announced, it was also promised that the attraction would have lots of theming, complete with an indoor queue, and apparently they invested lots of extra money for the attraction to make up for its delay. Clearly though, all that money went into that beautiful sign, and nothing else. On the bright side, the attraction finally opened, but was already having lots of downtime, and it wasn't looking good for the park, as there were more issues across the park. For example, Pirates Spelunker Cave, the new for 2022 edition for the park, was having mega issues, and was shut down basically the entire season, until it finally opened up at a way lower quality level than it originally opened. Then Casa Magnetica, their also new for 2022 edition, was shut down, stripped of its paint, and was only operated as something seasonal. So the point is, we had a lot of unfinished projects. Well, if a project did get finished, it got shut down immediately. It also didn't help that park prices went up, and the season passes got more changed than Texas weather. So fast forward to now, the park seemed to be doing alright. We all got excited for the new edition, until like I stated before, nothing happened, and it appears to be a very bleak start to the brand new year. The thing is, clearly they invested a lot of money for the new ride, and something's gonna be done for it. But what exactly? And with certain clues and teasers that happened earlier this year being unsolved, there clearly seems to be way more to the equation than we previously thought. And there just might be something new for 2024 for Over Texas. So first, let's talk about the big issue, which is what happened to Rio Lento and what's going to take its spot for the new ride next year. Well, rumor has it, the attraction was cancelled because they thought it was way too big to do. They didn't really plan ahead, and they had no concept art, no ideas for what direction the new ride was going to take. And so of course, it was going to be scrapped. Otherwise, it would have been another 3-year delayed like Aquaman Power Wave. but money was invested, and it cannot be wasted. So the plan is that El Aserradero will receive some new updates, and currently it's under refurbishment and closed to get those updates. As to what they'll be, we don't know for sure yet, but here's my predictions. We do know Rio Lento got cancelled, but when it was first announced, I did have a prediction of what the attraction could be, and to shorten it, I thought it was going to be like Catapult Falls at SeaWorld San Antonio, or the modern log flumes. Essentially, we would have new cars, and there'd be lots more theming put into the attraction. That's if they actually cared about the ride, because the other ride was also just connecting the flumes together and considering it a new ride, which I really was against. But anyways, it's no secret that this attraction is a classic, and because of how historic it is, it needs some help, and lots of TLC, and they have put some work into the attraction. For example, last year, Flume 1, the original flume of the attraction, finally opened to the public. Originally, Flume 2, which is the most recent flume, would be the only one operating on every season, and Flume 1 was just sitting there abandoned. Although it did open for a few months, it ended up closing down again, which I believe was a technical issue, and like I said, the attraction is pretty old, so it needs some TLC. My first prediction is that the money invested for Rio Lento was obviously going to El Aserradero to update some of its old parts, mainly for Flume 1. To have both flumes operating at the same time will help a ton, and capacity can finally be flowing in an attraction that does not have much capacity. Secondly, the queue for the attraction also built really weird, as it has very tight corners for no reason, and is not accessible to every guest. Plus, the queue seems to be very cramped compared to other attractions. So my second prediction is that the queue will be fixed up and more accessible to every guest. And for a little glimmer of hope, this could also mean some more theming for the queue as well. The attraction is historic, and to make it even better and turn it into an experience could mean a lot for the longtime historians of Over Texas and fans of this classic park. There's so much potential to add a story to the ride and make it more enjoyable than just sitting there in the sun waiting for your turn to ride. Theme park lines can be fun, but only if they choose to make it fun. And while on the topic of theming, El Aserradero used to have a lot of theming as well back in the day, ranging from tunnels to giant animatronics to saws that would spin. Since then though, all the effects have been turned off, and besides being a sightseeing attraction, it's pretty bland. And again, it's lots of wasted potential, since the ride takes you to very unique parts of the park that seem to be deep in a forest. And if you do it right, the attraction could be way more fun and enjoyable than just a sightseeing, relaxing attraction. One thing I would like to see them do is turn on the saw. Flume 1 has this little cool effect that takes you up a lift hill, where a saw comes very close to you before dropping. If they turn on that effect, it'd be really cool, as well as added sound effects that's in the forest, and possible new props. But anyways, as for my last prediction, I could see some updates for the flumes themselves. Sure, the flumes are not in bad shape, but they could always use some updates and upgrades. And if you're wondering who could be the manufacturer for it, at IAAPA this year, Whitewater West unveiled their new flume design for the log flume coming to Six Flags Kiddio. And while the park itself is not funded by Six Flags, they have worked with Whitewater West. And if they add a new refreshed look to the log flume, maybe give it a design that honors its history, it can definitely be designed by Whitewater West. Now of course, this won't be the only thing coming to Over Texas in 2024. And in fact, I predict a lot more that's just not publicly talked about. For example, prior to the announcement of El Rio Lento, Over Texas was teasing the announcement, but I have a reason to believe it has nothing to do with El Rio Lento. The teaser was a picture of the Sylvester and Tweety Ferris wheel talking about something new that will replace it. And of course, nothing was ever announced besides the log ride. That was until the ride closed down permanently, and now work is being done to it. So clearly a replacement is in the works. But don't get your hopes up too much. While many want to predict a brand new flat ride or kiddie attraction, which is my initial route, I actually believe it's the comeback of Daffy Duck Bucket Blasters. For those who don't know, when Aquaman Powerway was constructed and they added a turntable, it was bigger than the spot provided. In Daffy Duck Bucket Blasters, the kiddie water attraction was in the way. The thing is, instead of moving it over to a different spot, they removed it permanently. Or at least that's what we thought, because the attraction was actually put into storage in the Titan Boneyard. And this is why my prediction is, for 2024, Daffy Duck Bucket Blasters will make a return and go in the spot of the Ferris wheel. And while it is sad to see the Ferris wheel go, because it's a pretty iconic and historic attraction, it is good to see the Bucket Blasters back. But this is why I said don't put your hopes up, because while many wanted a brand new attraction to replace the Ferris wheel for the kids, including me, and while I do believe a Zamperla Windstar will be way better, at least they're bringing back the attraction. Now, while we are on the topic of new attractions, Aquaman Powerway seems to be getting some new additions for 2024 as well. If you don't know, currently the attraction is closed for seasonal maintenance, but there appears to be more to it. As of right now, work is currently being done in the station of the attraction. For example, creating an actual operator booth that will be enclosed. Originally it was an open air booth, which is honestly a better decision. Now the reason I wanted to highlight this is because it falls in line with the previous prediction I had earlier this year. When Aquaman opened to the public, one complaint I did have was that it felt very unfinished. There was a lot planned and a lot announced for this attraction, and besides it actually opening, none of it came to fruition. But what I did predict was that there's a possibility they could actually upgrade the attraction throughout the year. They don't have to leave it there unfinished. during downtime or seasonal maintenance, they can definitely add to what they previously had planned, and it would definitely be okay because at least they're putting care into the attraction. And with this currently being the second addition to the queue and the attraction overall, with the first being the recent addition of new lockers, I think in 2024 there could be way more going on, with hopefully new additions like fully enclosing the queue of the attraction and adding the theming that was promised, as well as AC. And there's currently rumors that a possible splash zone will be installed. For those that don't know, when the attraction opened there wasn't really an official splash zone for the ride. Instead, there's a giant barrier wall to stop any extra water to go into the pathway of the park. And honestly, I was very disappointed because one major pro that the original Aquaman had was the big splash zone, and because everyone was not brave enough to ride the new attraction, they would still be given an opportunity to get wet, especially in this hot Texas weather. So when everyone was expecting a new splash zone to be added when the attraction would open, to everyone's surprise, it did not happen. And while sure there was a splash area where the water could still break through, and if you stood there you would get soaked, it wasn't really a splash area, and over Texas was trying to gaslight people into thinking it was a splash zone. It would result in predictions that in 2024, if they're really going to upgrade the attraction and add more to the queue and elements, I do hope to see a brand new splash zone being added, because honestly, one, it'd be great for new views, and two, it's what was needed from the very beginning. Finally, we need to talk about some unsolved questions from this year that could possibly predict what's going to happen in 2024 for Over Texas. Starting with the most obvious one, what's going to replace Harley Quinn's Vinsanity? Rather recently, the attraction was officially removed and appears to have been scrapped, with all the parts completely gone, and now that back area fenced off from the park. Obviously, something will replace the attraction, and I do plan on it being a major addition. And since this video is currently long enough, I will be making a full detailed prediction of what I think is going to go there in a future video. But long story short, I do believe it to be a brand new coaster that'll possibly go there. Especially considering that we got Rio Lento, I have a theory that they're saving up for the biggest investment Over Texas has ever received. Will it come in 2024? Absolutely not. Could it be announced in 2024? Possibly. I think we'll start to see some more work being done, and maybe some possible teasers going on to announce a brand new attraction coming in 2025 or 2026. And we'll definitely have to keep an eye out on this spot. Like I said before, 2023 has definitely been an interesting year for Over Texas, from delayed attractions to canceled new additions. And with the recent Six Flags and Cedar Fair merger, I will remain cautiously optimistic for 2024 and what's in store for this original park. We can predict some things that will happen to the park from things that happened this year, but straight up, it's just a prediction and there's no certainty it could happen next year. Regardless, I'm still very excited to see what's going to happen in 2024 for Over Texas, and I'm sure you are too. So what prediction do you have for Over Texas next year? Comment down below. And a little special announcement, I know recently I've not posted much videos or content, but luckily I will be back at it. So thank you for all those loyal viewers for sticking by and watching my videos, and if you're new here and you like what you see, you should definitely like, subscribe, tap the notification bells to know when new videos come out on my channel. Anyways, thank you for watching. This is JB Thrills signing out.